listening to AstroDetectives, where longtime friends Scott and Sarah try to debunk
or prove
the ancient practice of astrology.
I'm Sarah Hartshorn, the astrologer.
And I'm Scott Randall, the skeptic. Each episode, I'll give Sarah 2 natal charts. One chart matches the exact moment of birth for our mystery guest, and the other is just a red herring.
I'll use astrology to detect which chart belongs to our guest. And with a little help from my underground network of AstroDetectives, this case is as good as solved.
Oh, we'll see about that. Welcome, everybody. It's AstroDetectives time. I'm your resident skeptic, Scott. I'm here with our resident astrologer, Sarah. And we have a very special, just for funsies episode for you today.
Why is that?
Sarah, let me tell you, when I'm making these charts and I'm looking to make sure the sun signs in one place and the moon sign is in another place and we got Saturn roaming around there, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's all lining up. Finally, I got one that works. And I shoot off the email with the 2 charts. And then Sarah responds with like, in this case, what? The sun and the moon, the sun of one chart and the moon of the other chart have the same zodiac sign.
Yes, we've got a Virgo sun in one chart and a Virgo moon in the other chart. And we kind of have a rule, we have a rule that we won't repeat any signs in the big 3 between the charts. We got to have some, I think, rules or, things in place so that we just eliminate as much overlap as we can, because, this is a challenging task. The other thing
Without rules, the world is chaos. So rules are very important to us.
Yes. The other thing that is throwing me off a little bit about these charts is, in addition to having a Virgo sun versus a Virgo moon, we also have a Cancer rising versus another chart that has moon in the first, which can be another similar energy. They both have sun in the 12th. And the other thing is, one of the charts has their ascendant degree at 0 degrees. So if that person was actually born 3 minutes earlier, they would have a different rising sign, which would change the whole chart. So one of the charts has a very suspicious ascendant degree. And I always get nervous when I see the ascendant, in the first couple of degrees, because I know that a lot of times, even if that is the time written on your birth certificate, doctors, nurses, hospital staff, they don't always write down the exact moment that baby took their first breath. So I've cast a 3rd chart just in case. Neither of these are lining up, or just to keep my eye on that other one. So there's a lot of I don't know, variables here with these charts this time. So I think it's only fair that we don't count this one on the record, which makes me think I'll probably get it right and then Sarah, be annoyed.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you on this one. Genuinely.
I thought about asking, no, if I get it right, I want to count it.
Are you kidding me?
I know. I knew you would go for that.
How would that, as we show our results to some sort of scientific organization, they're like, just to be clear, the deal was if she got it right, it counted?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Well, and of all the things you mentioned, what made me think you were going to have an issue with this chart, and I haven't even mentioned it to you, is that our guest is on the younger side. And you said that sometimes that is more difficult. So I was wrestling. Actually, that's why I was wrestling with the chart so much, is when you have a younger person and when they're describing certain things that happen to them, they're all kind of condensed in, certain events happen at younger ages. You're in a certain school and, graduation happens, college happens, those sorts of things. And so I'm really trying to get the dates as close as possible without having too much overlap so that you're not tipped off in any direction based on, this person was this old when this happened or this old when this happened. And, if you have an older person and they're talking more about their, midlife stuff, age isn't that much of a giveaway. But when you're young, yeah.
Well, I was looking at the two charts and then I looked at the birthday, or actually as I was inputting it, and I was like, 1998. I was like, that was the year I graduated high school. I don't know. So
do we have a Gen Zer? Is this This is Gen Z, yeah.
I think so, yeah. And they've got Pluto in Sagittarius. So that's definitely a younger person. I think they're about 26. And it's just like for this experiment, it's better to have people who've had more life experience. And my like hard limit is like no one under 18 because they just
okay.
They're not going to have, that's a hard limit. I'd rather have someone that's like 30 or over. It's 26 is fine, but 30,
I love like some of our favorite guests have been we've only had a couple in their 20s, but I really enjoyed Nate when he came on. Like talking to somebody of a younger generation just breathes a whole different energy to the show of these old timers sitting around looking at the old historic zodiac signs.
Yeah. Well, it's like around age 29, you have your Saturn return, and that's like kind of coming into your adulthood. And so, it's just like when you get someone in their 20s, they just haven't, a lot of their chart may not have necessarily manifested yet. And so that's why it just makes it a little bit hard. And they may not, people in their 20s don't always know themselves as deeply. If you've, as older people who've been living with themselves for decades longer.
If you believe in that kind of thing, I could see it. That's
just like, you don't even have to believe in that. It's just like,
for it to need to match to their birth date, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I don't know, I feel like I had a certain authenticity when I was younger. And as you grow older, you might say that you learn to put up barriers and protect yourself and describe yourself in different ways.
Well, I think that's true too. I think that when you're like, before you're like totally self-aware, I think maybe like kids who are like 6 and under.
Let's get some of them on. Do you, like chocolate milk? No, I don't like tag. I love lunchtime. Don't like nap time.
Oh my God.
So we got your survey. It said that SpongeBob was your favorite Halloween costume. That's going to help Sarah tremendously.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, you don't have any help today, so I'm going to be your help to help steer you towards the correct chart, because honestly, I would love for you to get it right. I don't remember which is which I love. And I think if I learn too much about the signs, then I'll remember which guest, what they had. So I love that I just sort of make them, send them off, and then it's been a week and a half since I did that. So I honestly don't know which one. And now that we're not calling them chart A and B, I used to remember like, oh yeah, I remembered I flipped a tails that week and it was chart B. But now it's just the zodiac sign. So an interesting place to start might be, that this person has Libra. You have a Libra, you said Libra, right? Or no, Pisces. Wait, what's the sign that they have in common?
Virgo.
So they
only
have a Virgo?
One of them has Libra. So hope that wasn't a slip up.
No, that was a total guess. Okay. Well, last week we had a Libra and it was Libra season. So we have a Virgo sun and a Virgo moon in the two different charts.
Yeah, let me tell you what the big three are for each of these. Okay, so we've got a Gemini sun with a Virgo moon and a Cancer rising. And then we have a Virgo sun with a Libra moon and a Libra rising. And that's the chart that I am a little suspicious of, because that Libra ascendant is at 0 degrees and 37 minutes. And when we roll the clock back 3 minutes, then we get a Virgo rising, Virgo sun, and a Libra moon. So I've got that one on standby just in case.
I love it. But I remember one of the first episodes we tried to do was talking about the difference between sun signs and moon signs. And since we have a little extra time, since there's no guest astrologer to sort of go over their thoughts on the chart, maybe you can elaborate on what this Virgo sun versus Virgo moon means, and then kind of detailing the differences of the charts overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just in general, your sun sign represents your vitality, your vital force, your confidence. It's a large part of what your soul is here to accomplish. It's how you shine, and it's a large part of who you are. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this,
Oh,
this
sorry.
question, but I'm trying to just off the cuff say. And then your moon is kind of your inner self, your how you experience your emotions, how you connect with your intuition, how you nurture yourself, how you nurture other people, kind of your connection with your mother, where the sun sign can be how your perspective of your father. So yeah, that's kind of like just a quick differentiate. I like to say, here's the analogy I love to use. When you go on a first date with someone, you get a lot of their rising sign. When you start dating them more than, a few times, and you're going to experience more of their sun sign. And then when you move in with them, you'll experience a lot more of their moon sign.
Well, we're definitely not seeing anybody's moon signs on this show then. I'd say we'd be all rising signs. If we got an hour with this person, that sounds like a guaranteed sun sign, or I'm sorry, rising sign situation.
Yeah. And that's why whenever they first come on, I really try to see what my first impulse is and make note of that. And so.
All right. Well, our two rising signs are what again?
We've got Cancer rising, and then we have Libra rising. Now, that Libra rising has moon in the first house, so that gives it kind of a moony Cancer Libra blend a little bit. Like if you have a planet in your, close to your ascendant or in your first house, that planet also gets mixed into like your image, your body, how you present. So.
All right.
But
the difference, I was like, the difference between a Virgo moon and a Virgo sun to me is like, because we've been learning about the signs, we've been doing our playlists, which everybody can enjoy on Patreon. A Virgo sun, you would just take a little while to learn that they're a Virgo, and a Virgo moon, it would take a long time to see their Virgo traits.
Not necessarily. I would say, and this is something I feel like, because like, just to remind everybody, I've been studying intensely astrology for about 3.5 years. And so, you just deepen your understanding each year. But, like a Virgo sun, I'm a Virgo sun, I really like being of service. I like that gives me purpose, because your sun is to do with your purpose. That's a good way of distinguishing it too. Your sun, is like how you feel successful. And your moon is like how you feel comfortable. And so I know just from experience, like I've met some Virgo moons, and the way that they relax or feel comfortable is like by cleaning. It's like, what do you do like when you're just want to relax or just like feel, what's going to make you feel comfortable? And so, I also know that like a lot of Virgo moons tend to experience some anxiety, because Virgo is a very mercurial sign. It's ruled by Mercury, and it has a lot to do with like our thought processes and things. And so if when you're, you know, trying to chill and relax and all you can do is like think and overthink, like, so a lot of Virgo moons definitely can have like anxiety and stuff. But I wouldn't necessarily say that is as strong for just a Virgo sun. But I think just like overall, like looking at these two charts, like what differences was I seeing? So I feel like the Cancer person, because of a lot of their placements, um, they might struggle with confidence. And the reason I say that is, I mean, they both, confidence, a lot of our confidence comes from our sun sign, and both of these charts have their sun in the 12th house. But the Cancer rising person, first of all, Cancer risings they tend to be a little bit more shy or slow to like open up. However, that Cancer rising person's moon, their chart ruler, is in the 3rd house, which is a social house. So that does make them a little bit more social and less shy. But they also have Mars and Pluto. The Cancer rising has Mars and Pluto square their nodes. So there is a real karmic thing that they're here to learn how to use that Mars energy a lot more. And Mars is a lot to do with our confidence. And they have Saturn in Aries. There can be some issues around building confidence. And like, that's a lesson they're here to learn, is like to really just like stand up and learning to be a leader and to embrace their confidence. They also have Chiron in their 5th house in whole sign, which can be like another place where we tend to, it's like the natural house of Leo. So there can be this where a lot of actors have their sun sign. So that can be, I don't know, maybe some confidence issues there. Whereas the other chart, the Libra rising, Virgo sun, they have their North node conjunct their sun. So they really are here to, that really puts a lot of emphasis on that sun sign, even though it's in the 12th house. So that can be actually like a power up for that confidence. And their chart ruler, Venus, is in Leo. They have all their personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Leo. Mercury, Venus, Mars in Leo, which is, definitely a boost of confidence. So I think we're looking at maybe, I'm curious to see like what this person, like try to gauge this person's confidence.
All right. Well, we did see a 7 out of 10 on the survey for comfort in social situations, which is always good because they are coming on a podcast.
Yeah.
So if I ever see a 1 or a 2, I'm thinking, oh boy, Scott, you're going to have to carry this one. But if I see anything a 7 or above, I feel like it's going to be easy. I can just kick back, let the guest do all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tending to make decisions, they put a 2 out of 10, meaning they need a lot of time for careful deliberation.
Yeah. One of the actually most interesting things on the survey that they shared, and I want to ask them about this more, is they said that they one time were at a cookout and they got burned and they were sent to the ER, and they went to a burn unit for 2nd-degree burns. They had stem cells and cadaver skin on my hand and face in 20s. And and so they were badly burned and had like to receive some very extensive care on that. So I thought that was like, I'm like, okay, I'm not happy that happened to them, but I'm like, at least I have something that I can really try and match up to one of these charts here that feels
That's a
very
serious
specific.
event. And we were talking about transit sometimes. That seems like if that were going to happen, that would pop off on your chart in a transit,
Yes.
And does one of them have an obvious, for the date that happened, have something serious going on?
So, one of them, so the Gemini person with the Cancer rising, that's the one I'm kind of leaning towards right now, just based on like everything. But they had some interesting transits. I don't want to go too deeply into it, but then the Libra rising Virgo chart also had Mars, which can rule burns, transiting their first house. And so.
So
I know.
as always,
you
can make the case either way.
But if it were a Scorpio rising, I wouldn't necessarily have said that. But in this case, just so happens Mars was transiting the first house.
That's a good teaser for Scorpio season coming up. And our upcoming Scorpio playlist, everybody.
Scorpio season starts, it would have already started when this episode comes out. But for us, we're recording this on October 21st. So the sun will be moving into Scorpio tomorrow. And I'm excited.
Lovely. Well, I'm excited because I just saw our guest pop into the waiting room. So is there anything else you wanted to add before we take a little break and come back with our guest?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good to go.
All right, everybody. Get the charts out and look them over from...
That's what we should add. That just to remind everyone, you can go to astrodetectivespod.com and download the charts there and get the case files so you can see what we're looking at.
Study up, because we're going to be right back with our guest, and you can see which of these two charts match them, if any. Just select all of the above. One of them is correct, I promise. Or it's that third one with if there's one at 0 degrees, then don't forget to make yourself a bonus chart if you need to, if neither one of them is lining up. Okay, we'll be right back with our guest. Hey listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology, we're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining Astro Detectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, Astro Detectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow Astro Detectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. We hope you have your two charts in front of you because we've got Sergio joining us. Welcome to Astro Detectives.
Thank you for having me. I'm really big fan of the show. I've actually heard a few episodes, and I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you. Thank
I
you.
love hearing that.
Yeah.
What did you like best about the show? Let's start the questioning there.
Oh my God, a pop quiz.
No, you're fine. We could do that in the debrief if you're able to stick around after the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
But for right now, I guess we'll stick to you as the topic. We always start with kind of what are you wearing today, and do you have any tattoos?
No tattoos, but I finally figured out a design that I want. I've been wanting to have a tattoo for the longest time, but I wanted a meaning behind it. I finally found a design. Now I just got to get past like the mental block of like it being painful to get, But what I'm wearing, comfy clothes, just a t-shirt and some shorts, honestly. Yeah.
All right.
Can you tell us what you're planning to get, the tattoo?
Yeah, it's about an anime that I recently watched called Haikyuu. On the surface level, it's like about this short high schooler who wants to be a starter on the volleyball team and get them to like the national tournament. And they have a banner because kind of like playing style is be really on the attacking side, and they always just want to send all their spikers up. And the banner, it says fly. And it's about not only just like the playing style, but the show is really about overcoming obstacles, and it's very inspiring, I think. And like I recently went through like a little emotional slump, and that show really, it's kind of like a new comfort show. It felt like eating a bowl of soup on a really cold day watching that show. And I wanted to get like the banner with the in Japanese fly, written on it. And yeah, hopefully I can get that soon.
Oh, nice.
The banner says why, like the question why?
Fly,
Oh,
fly,
fly.
like a bird.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
fly.
yeah.
And what is the significance of that too? Like maybe you explained it and I wasn't understanding, but
Yeah, so it's more like it's the action, it's like the verb to fly or the command fly. So it's kind of just like a call to action, like fly, keep trying, even if when you're feeling down, you can always, get back up. And yeah, I think it's quite.
is it like like a confidence booster
Mm,
or taking action?
it's more like a reminder, yeah, to not give up, to,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of like I take both comfort and inspiration from that. Yeah, because
Okay.
yeah.
And it sounded like the soccer analogy, it was going on the offense, kind of. Is
Yeah,
that?
it's for volleyball.
Oh, volleyball. Okay, I
Volleyball,
misheard that.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like
So,
striking, like trying to go on the offense, not necessarily a defensive.
right. And like the show, like the main character for that show, he's pretty short and he's trying to be like the main spiker for the team as well. And that comes with its own challenges. And so, also that banner means a lot to him because he wants to be the main person for the team and help this team out, but also to prove to himself that all those when he was in middle school, he was the only volleyball uh, member on the boys team. Like no one else signed up, so he would have to beg his friends to play with them or just help him practice, just toss the ball up in the air so he could, practice his spiking. And he's, went to high school without playing a game through middle school, and now he's really athletic. He's always had this dedication and passion, and never gave up for his goals or his dreams. And it's like a real rags to riches kind of story. And that's just something that for the I've been through a slump emotionally, just kind of really doubting where you're at in life, or just things not really going your way. And it really helped me, watching that show, how this guy just kept trying his best and he got his rewards. It's just a reminder to keep pushing no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
And do you play volleyball? Was that especially
No, I
meaningful?
don't. I play soccer.
All right. Okay.
And
So
yeah.
I heard striker
Oh,
instead, and so and I got
gotcha. Yeah.
family that plays soccer, so I've gotten into kind of
Yeah.
appreciating that game. What
Okay,
position do
cool.
you play? I don't know if this tells you
I'm a goalie.
goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's also a position that you're kind of like by yourself, I think, for a lot of the game. And like, it's one of those positions where if no one talks about you, if you have a game, you won't, if you have a good game, you won't really get talked about. You only get remembered for the mistakes that you make because it leads to a goal against your team, So it can be a little isolating at times. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if they're
Yeah.
gonna score, it has to go through you.
Yeah, exactly. And also like I think the average goalie is well over 6 feet. I'm like maybe 5'10", 5'11". I say 6 feet on a good day. Um, but yeah, so it's also, I'm not the typical, I guess, physical presence for the position as well.
I would think so much of being a goalie would be trying to stay focused on the game because so much of it is happening down the field. You're just like,
Yeah.
pay attention, pay attention. It could come over here at any moment. Don't get
Yeah.
distracted.
It's just anxiety a little bit, all the time. Because how my best, I guess, skill is just my communication with my teammates. Like I'll literally just, whatever I see, I will say out loud, whether someone's running this way, or if I can try to predict the play, I will try to call it out to my teammates so they can do whatever maneuver they need to do to, prevent a shot from coming my way. Like I don't want to get shot on. I'm terrified. to get
Okay.
shot on. So I'm always going to try to prevent it, you know?
Yeah, get some other people between you and the ball.
Yeah,
So you're
exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
like a coach out there a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I actually have my coaching licenses as well. Like that kind of inspired me uh now that I'm, not playing as much, I want to transition into coaching. And so I use a lot of what I learned from there into, coaching tactics, how to communicate to the players and for them to communicate with themselves. So yeah, it's definitely helped with that transition.
Well, speaking of transitions, you did it perfectly into career and work. Um, is coaching like kind of something you've been wanting to do for a while? Or if we were talking about career and work history,
Yeah.
what kind of jobs have you done or feel like you would be good at and want to
Right.
pursue?
So coaching is more like if money didn't wasn't an object or something I would do, I think that would probably be it. Right now, what I do, I'm a software engineer. It pays the bills. That's what I went to school for. But I've had jobs as a waiter. I started, cooking, I'm cleaning dishes. But then I would always go to the front of the restaurant where the bar was to watch TV and start talking to the customers. And I would get in trouble. But my manager, he was really cool. He was like, "Hey, well, I mean, if you're good with people, we might as well put you up here." So I was a waiter throughout high school. And also I did some film projects. I did a lot of video editing and photo editing well into well into other jobs when as I was getting older as well. Um, yeah, I also worked at as an IT person. I worked at Best Buy as a Geek Squad agent. Um, yeah, and then I also have had some coaching opportunities as well. Just something to do on the side too.
Nice. And software engineering being your main job, what is it about that maybe drew you to it? And what do
Yeah.
you especially like about it other
I,
than the money?
yeah, I was gonna be candid there for a little bit. You caught me. I would say the puzzle solving, or like, just the problem solving. I love puzzles throughout all my childhood. Like that was my favorite pastime, word searches, jigsaw puzzles. I would ask my parents to give me math problems. I was such a nerd. Uh, just to pass the time, I wanted, riddles, everything like that. So that's what I really like about my job now. That it's a way for me to constantly keep thinking about something. Although that can also be like its downfall, even though I've left it in the office or the day is over, if I haven't solved something, um, I will keep thinking about the problem, or trying to still fix it in the back of my head. Yeah.
Hmm. How would your friends describe you?
Hmm. I think they would say that I'm someone who marches to the beat of their own drum. I really, I like going places by myself. I like to be pretty independent in that way. Whether it's like travel or just to go out to eat by myself, or I don't really stick with the group. With if the group wants to do something, I kind of just tend to do something else. If it's not, I can set the clear boundary, if that makes sense. Like if the group decides, oh, we want to do this, and I kind of not feeling it, most of the time I'll just do my own thing and then meet up later with them, if that makes sense. But also, I think they'd say I belong to several friend groups. So I think one of them would say, "Oh, he's the mature one in the friend group. He's kind of, you know, um, a little bit more serious. He doesn't, he's just more focused on his goals and stuff like that." Another friend group would probably say, "Oh, he's a little bit of a party animal." They've actually told me, you add spice to the night when we go out. So it kind of depends. I'm a little all over the place, but I think overall, everyone would say good sense of humor, wants everyone to have a good time, whether it's at my own expense. Like if they're teasing me, I'll take all the jokes, or just wanting to be inclusive, include people in conversations, whatever. Oh, and something they will always say is that I'm late to everything. unfortunately. That's something I'm working on. But yeah, I do happen to be late a lot.
Not today. You were like in the waiting room ready for
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I was ready. I was definitely ready.
Let's give you some credit.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm working on it.
That
Yeah.
just made me think, like when you said you're late to everything, do you forget things, and like do you forget your phone or, keys or something?
Yeah, in college, I would forget where I parked my car. One
Okay.
time I got written up at work and I couldn't tell them the truth that I just forgot where I parked my car. I forgot what I told them and they still wrote me up for it. So yeah, I can be quite forgetful. It's weird though. I think it's like I prioritize other things that are I can really keep a good memory of. But like little details or everyday things, I can be quite forgetful with that.
Do you miss appointments or is it more like forgetting the location of things?
Mm, and sometimes it can be appointments, yeah. Most of the time it's just like keys, phone. Um, yeah, I think it varies. Sometimes, or if I play soccer like once a week or twice a week. I will forget where the park is because it kind of changes every week and they give us an announcement. So I've showed up to the wrong field several times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to account for that sometimes on my commute now.
Wrong field, but at the right time, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
And
try to
prepared.
show up early to warm up. So usually I have that time that, okay, let me go to this other field that's 10 minutes away.
Hmm. Well, how do you deal with difficult emotions or handle difficult emotions? Not
Mm,
just missing the soccer game
right, right. That's I'm starting to get better about it. I started going to therapy to work on it. The pandemic really gave me time to realize that I wasn't handling things well. I was honestly masking a lot to myself. I didn't think I had
Well,
like
during the pandemic,
anxiety.
everybody was supposed to be masking during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to
Oh,
get that in there.
I like that. The dad joke.
We have the best of them here.
Oh,
Sorry, continue.
nice. No, you're good. No, just like masking my emotions. I grew up my whole life, I guess, just trying to hide emotions or just, I didn't think I had anxiety where when I actually did. I know I'm talking about like soccer a lot, but that was my outlet. I was also in the band growing up, and I'm now just recently joined one as a drummer. So I think that's how I handle a lot of my emotions, just, you know, whether it be creatively or, you know, physically, some sort of expression, you know. But I didn't think I had anxiety about a certain game. I would just say I have all these superstitions. That was my way to mask the anxiety. And, but yeah, in relationships and in friendships, when it came to like insecurities or, things that upset me or disappointed me, I would be kind of the guy who would just wait for things to build up, build up, build up, build up, and then finally have this explosion because I wanted to avoid conflict or, maybe from a people pleasing perspective, that's how things are. I would just try to hide things, keep peace. That would be my priority. But now, it's more like journaling. I'll journal. I'll try to do a brain dump, whether it's like weekly or if something's really going on today that I'm struggling with or really happy about, I'll try to journal it and record it. Now I'm starting to get better at having difficult conversations with whether it's really close friends or family. Um, yeah, just I'll try to be more clear and communicate in that way effectively. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think totally. Um, yeah, talking about outlets, especially soccer is one of those that it seems like you could do. Did you get shut down from playing soccer for very long?
Yeah, yeah, you mean during the
Oh,
pandemic
I
or
think of it as being outdoors, but I guess, it's a lot of people together.
yeah, exactly. I really didn't have people to play with, honestly. I could maybe juggle the ball by myself, but I get bored quickly, especially if I'm doing things by myself. Um, yeah, so it's kind of hard to, especially as a goalie, you need shots on you, you can't really it's not really fun to dive for no reason, you know. So yeah, it took me a couple of years to get back into playing the sport. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, we hadn't really talked about the pandemic on here very much and how it affected everybody's lives, but that could be a big deal. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
definitely
huge
was.
shift in a lot of
Hmm.
people's, I would imagine a lot of people's charts, if you are into astrology, would say things were crazy around that time.
I bet.
Nobody was kicking goals at me, man. It was wild.
Yeah, and like where I was staying, it was pretty strict in terms of not going out just to keep, people safe. We took the restrictions very seriously, but kind of um I was away from my support system, and that really affected me. And at that point, I still wasn't really handling my emotions that well, so it kind of uh yeah, brought a lot of negativity to light. You know, I take it now as like as something that if I didn't realize it then, I don't know when I would have, and I probably would have hurt more stuff in the future. But I'm kind of grateful for that experience. That okay, I learned from it. Now it's time to work through some things and go from there.
Yeah, mentioning your support system, that would be, the friends and the family that you would
Mhm.
normally be together
Yeah,
with.
yeah. I'm really big on uh my love language is definitely like quality time, but that also extends to friendships. I want to spend time with the people that I love as much as possible. I have a friend group here in this city, and if I don't see them like once a week, I start to miss them a lot. It's not codependency, but it's definitely more like we're really close, and that's where I get a lot of my laughter from, and just enjoy spending time with people. That's something I really like to do.
And then you look back on that time of being isolated as more of an accomplishment, like I got through it. Look at me. I mean, that you
No.
were able to overcome it as a social person.
I think I look at it, I don't know. That's a tough question because the whole situation was weird. I was living with now an ex and her family, and because her parents were older, we were just trying to keep them, not exposed to anything. We were trying to limit that as much as possible. And so I kind of take it more as it was just a challenging time, honestly. Now I take it like, okay, um, things went down, I think I'm more proud of now of how I've come on the other side of things and how it helped me grow as a person, if that makes sense. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's what I was asking
Mhm.
about. Is like,
Yeah, yeah,
did
yeah.
you develop some growth through a hard time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
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 What was childhood like? What kind of a kid were you like? What kind of things did you like to do?
Hmm. I was an only child, so I was quite spoiled, I'd say. My parents are immigrants from Mexico and Guatemala, so we didn't grow up with like a lot of money, I'd say. I think they were really good at not showing that to me because they would always, if I wanted, let's say, like drum lessons, they would always find a way to get that for me and to get my drum set. Or, um, I always had everything I needed, and if I wanted, they'd make sure, like, okay, not now, but if you get an X amount of grades, or if you do these, if you're just like a good kid, I guess you can earn it, right? So that definitely taught me the value of things. But the kind of kid I think I was very polite, well-mannered. I was kind of afraid of getting in trouble, I'd say. Um, let's see what else. But I was also kind of goofy, kind of silly as well with my friends. Definitely awkward. I had a really big awkward stage. I think maybe a lot of us did, but I think mine especially was very awkward. Um,
Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of yourself as an awkward kid? Like anything that you would do or somebody pointed
uh,
out, you're like, oh,
no, I kind of want to unlock that one. No, it's probably just like when I would talk to strangers or, growing up, my mind would go blank and I just would, just stare at them, hope they say something. Um, yeah, but overall, I think I was a pretty good kid. I never really got in trouble. I got a pleasure to have in class on the report card, but I would always get in trouble for being talkative. I think just being an only child, like I said before, I would get really bored I still do doing things by myself. So I always tried, to be social in class or, be just crack jokes with people, but it would get me in trouble because I would always do it while the teacher was trying to teach, unfortunately. So yeah, I think overall like a social, bubbly, nice kid, I'd say, yeah, childhood wise.
I'm a fellow only child here. My desk was, and Sarah,
Hmm.
my desk was always out in the hall. When my parents would arrive at the open house at school, they
Oh
would say,
God.
"Why is your desk in the corner?" So it happens.
It does happen. Yeah, I get a lot of silent lunch. Yeah, I'm talking too much.
Just to follow up on that, you said you described yourself as a social, bubbly, nice kid. Do you still feel that way, or did you ever, like sometimes when we get older, we can develop, too much self-awareness and get insecure. Where are you with all that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's how I would describe myself. Like I got too self-aware and just get really insecure or anxious, I guess. I get a
Mhm.
little like definitely deal with some social anxiety for sure. Um, but also going back to the pandemic, I think that is now I get really drained going to the office. I work hybrid, 2 days remote, 3 days in the office. And now it's getting better, but I remember early on where being in the office would just drain me for the day. Like just my social battery would just die after a full day in the office because I had to like talk to people again and remember how to like make friends or how to talk to strangers. And yeah, it's now I definitely need that good balance of like, okay, maybe I spent this weekend with all my people, I hung out, but now the next 3, 4 days, I need to be by myself in my room or just do what I need to do for me so I can recharge my battery that way.
Yeah. It's like you get used to one routine and then
Hmm.
suddenly, wait, I'm supposed to talk to people again?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh man, yeah, yeah.
Although I do remember just the joy of seeing people again it
Yeah,
reminds you
right,
how
right.
nice it is to spend time with
Hmm.
people.
Definitely, yeah. Like I remember when people would do I remember in the news you would see all the dads of the neighborhood just drink a beer on like opposite at their mailboxes, basically. Like it was like that too for a little bit, yeah. But once I have to do like an extended amount of time, like let's say more than 3, 4 hours at a time, that's when it would start getting a little bit more tiring. But at the beginning, you're like, yes, yes, people, you get so happy. Yeah.
You kind of mentioned your parents a little bit and teaching you about value and,
Yeah.
earning a dollar or something. But can you talk a little bit about them and maybe what they did for work or, anything
Yeah.
about them?
Yeah, so I'm actually pretty close with my parents. I think I consider them as friends too. I go to them for advice. They're they all their life they actually met at a factory, kind of like a poultry factory, and now they still work in factories, but now different companies. So they've always done like this manual labor type of jobs growing up. While I was growing up, and still to this day. But yeah, I think I would describe them or my relationship with them as be really good, honestly. I think we've had our moments where we like maybe as families do when they get in arguments or whatever, but we always find a way to, we don't ever, I don't think, sweep things under the rug. We really will, talk something out until it gets resolved or we feel like everything has been put on the table. Um, yeah, I think we're very close. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
They met in a poultry factory.
Yeah, in the
Do
break room.
they do they eat chicken to this day after seeing whatever
Yeah,
they've seen?
they do. They do.
I'm always curious because, that's
Yeah.
a glimpse into something we don't see and
Yeah.
obviously wonder about.
I try not to ask them too many questions about that. If I'm being honest with you, I love grilling. I love, eating. So I definitely don't want to know too much.
I imagine they're just out there in the field playing, the chickens being free
Right,
range, and then
exactly. Yeah.
when they need another one, they just pet it softly, and then hug it to death, kind of just in a really tight squeeze.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, to death.
Like an ant, when they would come and kiss your cheeks or just hug you really tight. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then slowly smother you. A question. So, can you just tell us a little bit about your parents' personality, or
Oh
like which one is more,
yeah. Yeah.
dominant, or yeah?
Yeah. Let's see. That's interesting. So, mm, I think it's pretty 50 on the dominance, but I probably, if I would have to lean a certain way, I'd go towards my mom. I think she's more of the breadwinner now in my family. We had some financial trouble that my parents are still, now they're getting better and more healthier with their finances. But for a while, I thought they were about to split up because of how bad things got. I would have to be referee for certain things. My mom, when she gets upset, she's like she locks in. When she has to lock in, she locks in, and that's either for if she's angry at something, or if she's focused on something. Like now with money and maintaining the household. Uh, Very focused woman, very driven woman. I think my mom, if how all my friends describe her, very sweet lady. I think she is one of the smartest people I've ever met. Like she taught me how to read and write in Spanish before I started kindergarten. She was like my first teacher, and she's always been there for advice from like for through heartbreaks, through just in life, how should I go through this transition in life or whatever. She's very wise. She's very crafty. Like there's nothing in that. There's her favorite saying is like, only death is impossible to fix. Like there's always a solution for something. You just have to think and just, try your best and hope. So she's a very positive person in that way. My dad, he's I think he's misunderstood a lot of the time. I think a lot of people see him as a more serious character, but I think that's only people that he's kind of shy too. So like it'll take time for him to um, get comfortable around people. And once you're in with him, he is so funny. Like he is so funny. His laugh is contagious. It's a pretty funny laugh too, but it just makes everyone else laugh as well. Very funny guy. Both my parents have really good work ethics. That's something that, they always get commended for, and something I wish I got more of, honestly. They're both, they have a lot of friendly competition when it comes to cooking, because my dad was a cook when he first came to the US, and my mom's always been a cook her whole life. So they always have me refereeing as well. Like, oh, who cooked a better dish? And now I'm a little competitive too, so I'm trying to beat them at their own dishes. Hopefully, I get to learn the recipes well and master them. Yeah, but they're both very loving too. I think um, they. I have a brother. He's 11 years old. He's about to be 12 in November. Um, he's. I see how. I don't know how to describe it, but they're just so loving, they're always, hugging him, or they'll give him a kiss, or, he knows he's loved. And just how I also grew up knowing I was loved with them. Yeah.
That's interesting. So big age gap there. So it's like
Yeah.
you grew up as an only child, and then you still get the experience of having a younger brother.
Right. Yeah. Maybe saying I was an only child was misleading, but yeah, I was an only child until like 15 years old. So I still say I'm an only child. I was an only child, grew up an only child. Yeah, so my mom had a couple of miscarriages after me. I've always wanted siblings. They always wanted other kids, and we finally got them with my brother when I was around 14 or 15. And yeah, he's a really cool kid. I get to enjoy him. He's my practice child. I tell everyone, like, I don't want kids right now. My mom says, I don't want grandkids either. Just enjoy your brother right now. He's all the kids we need right now. And yeah.
Well, moving on to
Yeah.
romantic partners, marriage. You're not married, but can you kind of describe the type of person that you're drawn to? And if there is maybe a longer term relationship, just kind of describing that person, their personalities, or what drew you to them?
Yeah. So, um, I need to say this without giving away too much in terms of for this experiment. Um,
Oh, I don't think it would give anything away. You're not talking
no?
about dates or anything like that, or how old you. You don't say how old you were, but
Right,
just, the
right,
type of
right.
person you're drawn to. Let's start there. What
Okay,
kind
the
of
type. Gotcha. I really like witty people, something that are just really funny or can think quick on their feet. I've always been drawn to humorous people. Someone also that I can see myself, I can see them as an equal for sure, that or that they push me to be better, whether if it's something I can learn from them, in a different field, or they just have really niche knowledge about something. That's something that I really like. Also, them being really kind to strangers and also driven. I think those are some of the qualities that I get drawn to.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. Um, yeah, maybe also quirky. I like a little quirky. Some people that are a little quirky, a little weird, I'd say. Yeah.
And then, I mean, yeah, I can't think of how anything would give it away. If you like
Yeah.
thought about exes in the past, have they, like, have they checked all of those, or was there something that surprised you, or or maybe what didn't work out sometimes can be informative?
Yeah, I think if I were to say what didn't work out was maybe um how they handled their emotions, you know. Like I said, I had a girlfriend during the pandemic and that I don't think that brought the best out of me for sure. So how I also didn't handle my emotions well, I think that also contributed to me not being able to be as supportive for them or when they needed me. So, also that will lead to, arguments or just emotions being really, there would be a lot of tension. Um, and that's what I've only been in two long-term relationships. And I think that's always kind of what's been the I guess what kind of made things not work out, whether it be just not being able to communicate the emotions that we were feeling, letting things build up on both sides. Um, yeah, I think I hope that made sense.
Yeah, Sarah, that
Yeah.
covers what you need.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you have any celebrity crushes?
Hmm. I have a lot of celebrity crushes. Uh,
That should be the new survey question that we put on
right?
there.
Olivia Munn, I'd say she's up there. Um, man, sh- Emma Mackey. Um,
Emma Mac.
Sarah's
yeah,
just Googling like
I know,
crazy
I'm
right
like,
now.
I'm gonna Google
Google
this.
image, Google
yeah,
image.
she was on Sex Education on Netflix. Yeah,
Was in what?
in Sex Education on
Oh,
Netflix.
okay.
Yeah, she looks like
Okay.
Margot
Oh,
Robbie. Yeah.
mhm. Olivia Munn is the one that has a child with John Mulaney.
Ah, yeah. See who
Is
else?
that
So you
Gal
missed your
Gadot.
chance.
I know. I know. Gal Gadot. You know.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And I'm not I'm not bi or gay, but I think Michael B. Jordan has to be up there. What an awesome dude! Yeah, I have to admit, he's cool. I wouldn't mind having dinner with him.
Just overall great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
so so with Olivia Munn or Emma Mackey, are you going just based on looks, or is there something about their personality or characters that also were drawing you in?
So I think with Olivia Munn, it was her character that she played. She played a news anchor on the show called The Newsroom. on HBO, and she was like this PhD in finances that was also a little socially awkward. She was, brains and looks, so that's something that I was attracted to. Emma Mackey is definitely from um, more on her like interviews and her as a person. I think she can she's can speak French and English and super into literature and the arts, very like cultured and like a refined taste for the arts and things like that. So that's something that I'm drawn to as well. Yeah,
And don't leave out Michael.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
He
So
likes anime.
just to be clear,
That's
that's not Michael Jordan, right?
no,
Who is?
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, who
He's
is
an
that?
actor. He's
Okay.
well, he started in The Wire, but that was way back when.
Yeah.
What's his biggest role? You know him better than I do, apparently.
I would say probably the Creed. He was
That's right. He was
he was-
Apollo's son in
Mhm.
Creed. Yeah.
And then he was also Killmonger in Black Panther. He was the villain in Black
Yeah, that's
Panther.
right. He
Yeah.
got ripped for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how he made the list?
No. It was for Creed.
He's got your back because he can
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, and I think he directed one of the last movies for that series. And he like took inspiration from a lot of anime, like the way the scenes are directed, and he applied that to the actual boxing scenes too. So it was pretty cool how he combined his inspiration, his love for one genre and brought it to this one. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to money and debt. What's your relationship like with money?
Yeah, so I think I'm just as an anxious person in general, I always think I'm doing worse than I am. Like I'm not afraid to spend money. I think that's something I'm aware of. I'm not afraid to spend it. Uh, for a while, I was just once coming from a childhood that we had to be really like tight on money and think about how we were gonna spend on things. And now, once I got into my career and I'm making much more money than I ever like I've seen, I really went haywire for a little bit there, just like spend, 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 spend. Whether it was on toys, like little gadgets, or on experiences with food, travel, dates, um, or just even giving gifts to my friends, and family. Uh, I definitely can be a spender, but I think just me being aware of my just being a self-aware person, um, I eventually made a budget, and I'm just tracking I track every single like dollar and penny, like everything is tracked, and I'm starting to work now on like projections for like the next X amount of months and next year, and start tracking like investments. So I've definitely like had my fun, but now it's just like, okay. But I always had an idea, like, okay, I didn't have a budget when I was spending a lot, but I kind of have a mental nose, like, okay, I think I'm at a good level here overall. Like I'm in the green, just have a green or red in my head.
Yeah.
And now it's more structured. I say more disciplined. Now I have like goals with.
Are you using product placement? Are you using a specific app, or is all this in a spreadsheet?
It's all in a spreadsheet.
Whoa.
But if someone wants to sponsor me, I'll be happy to product place.
Yeah, anybody contact the show if you hear anything you would like to be mentioned.
And
That's
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's funny. I do the same thing. I have a spreadsheet and I track every penny. And
I mean, I'll probably track it after I spent it, but then I'll be like, okay, next month we'll like tweak a little bit here and there.
I love like looking at my finances, but I don't track them in real time. And I do, like you said, just have a general gauge of like, am I in the green this month? I feel like I'm in the green. Or, I've been spending a lot. I feel like I'm in the red. I need to pull back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a gut feeling.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like, is this making me sweat a little bit? This one transaction. Yeah.
Down to health and self-care. You kind of mentioned anxiety a little bit before and having some things that you helped like that helped you work through it? Any did you want to expand on that at all, or anything else that, maybe physically or whatever you that would come to mind?
Yeah, so I think other things, I'm definitely like an emotional eater. So I struggled with, my weight. Recently I had like a good wake up call, really high cholesterol and almost being pre-diabetic. I was like point 0.1 away, from being pre-diabetic. So that really made me just change a lot of my habits. They wanted to put me on medication, but I told them, give me a couple months to work on this. I know once I'm determined to do something, I'll achieve it. So I hired a personal trainer and she has me in a diet plan, a meal plan, and I'm working out at least like 5 days a week, 4 if I'm, busy with work or have plans with friends already. At least minimum 4 days a week, I'm doing my workout. I hurt my ankle in May, and back in May, and that was right when I was also, I have this really big, well, okay. I hurt my ankle. I need to be careful so I don't give away. I don't want to give
Yeah,
things away.
don't say how
Yeah,
old you were when you hurt
right,
your
right,
ankle, but you
right,
can
right.
but you
Yeah,
can say when
you're
it
right.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in May, I hurt my ankle really badly, and that just put me in such a negative space. I didn't realize how much I depended on just even, well, playing soccer, that was big, but also like I couldn't even sleep that well because any little movement would just hurt so badly. And then, you get sad because you're not hanging out with your friends, you're still seeing people do what you want to do. And then you have so much time to yourself to think about, oh man, I wasn't the best in this situation. This wasn't the best version of me in the past. I started ruminating about, beating myself up for things that I've done in my past. So it was just poor mental health during that time. Which is when I started watching that anime that now I want the tattoo for.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And like now, we don't have to talk more about the tattoo or the anime because I could do a whole episode on just
Well,
this.
I wanted to ask, since, listeners tune in to find out great life tips because every guest brings something else in. I want to know, what does your trainer have you eating, and what is the workout to lower cholesterol? Briefly, but
Yeah,
just generally.
yeah, I have a PDF. I can pull it up right now.
I want to know what Monday looks like.
Yeah, I have it from Monday,
No, is it
to Sunday.
just like lots of vegetables and fruit, I imagine, and
Yeah, so yeah,
all the obvious
a
things?
lot of protein. Yeah, honestly, it's just saying no to junk food, and that's super tough for me because how I socialize with my friends, like, oh, let's go get a beer here, let's go, to this restaurant. So that's been kind of tough a little bit, yeah. But yeah, it's very like I bought like a whole scale now. I have to like weigh my food now, which is a little extra, I have to admit, but it's for my health for now.
That's a whole other spreadsheet.
That is a whole spreadsheet, yes.
And the
I can use
workout,
an app for that.
are you doing like long distance running, or these like HIIT workouts or weightlifting, or what's going on?
So it's weightlifting right now. I have what I call a Dorito build because it's like a strong upper body, but with my leg, with my ankle being hurt, I couldn't do any leg exercises or even walk for the whole summer. I was on crutches. So I have the skinniest legs, and my friends make fun of my build now.
He's
Um,
got the Dorito. See, I would think the Dorito build would not be very muscular
well, no,
anywhere. To
like,
me, when I think of Doritos,
yeah. It's like broader shoulders and like skinny legs right
all
now
right,
for
I'm
me.
going to use that.
No,
Um,
but now we're transitioning now into doing like I started doing like my rehab for my ankle and now I can run. Now my goal is to I want to be a semi-pro soccer player. Like that's my reach goal for all of this. I want to see myself get in good enough shape to do it. Yeah. So at least try out, be on the bench. I'm cool with that.
yeah. Um, how would you describe the last 12 months? If there's one theme or an area
Mhm.
of life that has been especially impacted or important over the last 12
Mm.
months?
I think self-love is what I'd say. I think like I said, the anxiety and a lot of insecurity has kind of been what I realized since the pandemic, I'd say. I think that kind of ruined my relationship at that time, just all this insecurity I had and this low self-esteem, that I had. Working with my therapist, has really helped a lot in the last 12 months. I think if you look at dating now for me, at first it was just like, how can I get this external validation from someone, right? Or how can I fill this gap that I'm having towards myself? And like it would just come in like, oh, okay, let me just at least have attention from this girl or go on these dates, whatever. And I got a little avoidant once things got more serious. But I want to say in the last, what are we now in October? 6, 8 months, I just kind of started flipping a switch. I started what I told a lot of people, I'm dating myself now. Like I really want to do things by myself. I recently went on a vacation to Mexico solo trip for a week by myself. I take myself out to games or, I try to make my home very homey or feel comfy, for me. It's just a lot of now like healing the inner child. Um, yeah, and just trying to trust myself again with things. So, be ready. The goal is to be ready to date again. It's just to be more, I guess, in love with myself or love myself more. So I think that's kind of the theme for the last 12 months.
Can I just like commend you on that? Because
Oh,
I think that is so wise. And I think so many people are running around, you know, they're avoiding doing that work. And I think everybody needs to do that. And you're like ahead of the game, like taking yourself out on a date, self-care. I mean, it's just like such a foundational thing that everyone needs to do for themselves to prepare themselves to enter into a healthy relationship eventually, if that's what they want.
yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. If you want to bring your best self into a relationship, treat yourself well.
Yeah.
You
Be
have
good to
to
yourself.
set the example,
Yeah.
show people how you should be treated.
Right. And then also just, I ask myself now, like, would I date me? So I want the answer to be yes.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
actually, some of the best advice I was given about finding a partner was make a list of what you want in a partner and
Mhm.
then be that.
Yeah. 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 I think my friend, yeah, has also, I've actually heard that a few times. And like, I need to eventually do that prompt in my journal for sure.
Mhm.
And that's how I got into swimsuit modeling.
Oh,
I had to
wow.
start being it.
Exactly. A day in the
Oh my
life.
God.
A day in the life of the ideal
Hilarious.
self.
No, all
Hilarious.
good advice. Any media recommendations you wanna mention? This is movies, music, books, whatever you feel especially a strong tie to
Yeah.
and would recommend to the audience.
Haikyuu, the anime that I want to get a tattoo of. Yeah, Haikyuu, I would say it's Hikyu. That's a really good one. There's this podcast I like. It's like a series. Like, think of it as an audiobook, but just in podcast form. It's called Case 63. It's a sci-fi about relates to the pandemic as well, have to save the future that's going to be crumbling down by a virus. It's actually originally in Spanish, the creators from Chile, and it's fully done in Spanish now. 3 seasons plus a spin-off season as well. It's done. But it's so good. Like in English now, it's like Oscar Isaac is the main character in there. Olivia Wilde's also starring in it. It's a great cast, but such a great story. Like they took really good care to make it seem like it's almost plausible, and it's just a really good story. And then let's see, books. Yeah, something that kind of helped me a lot with, I guess, with that self-love or just, getting through, some depression is called A Psalm for the Wild Built. It's another sci-fi. It's about this is way in the future. Humans have gone to like different moons and stuff. And at one point, robots became they actually, what do you call it? They call it the awakening, where they kind of just, became sentient and they all just like moved away because they just wanted to find their own purpose. So humans and robots have not been in contact for like 200 years, I want to say. And this monk, they decide to go into the woods because they're tired of society. They meet a robot and they start talking, that's kind of the premise, but it's such a feel good book. I think it says like this is for the people who don't know where they're going in life or, where they don't know how they feel right now. It's a really, really good book. Two books now, actually. Yeah.
All right. Sarah, any additional questions you wanted to ask to fill in the gaps and help you
Yes.
decide?
I do have some questions. Yeah, okay. Let me see. Where do I want to start? Have you ever had are you like close to your neighbors? Do you like get into friendships with neighbors? Any themes around that?
Mm, no, I'd say
No,
no.
don't
Just
really.
right, right. Just because, like, I guess, yeah, I'd say no. I'd say no.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind it, but like, I'm not going to make the first move.
Okay. So
Yeah.
nothing to report there. Okay. Um, is
Maybe
extended
roommates in college. I don't know, or like
No,
dorm.
more like was thinking like if you had any major stories around neighbors, whether it be good or bad, I should say.
Mm-mm. Nope.
No, okay. What about extended family, like aunts, uncles, cousins? Are they a big part of your life or no?
I'd say so. Yeah, I have like the way my mom or immigrated to the US. She came with my two aunts and an uncle, like my two aunts and uncle. So they were always kind of around, like my cousins. Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Is that still true or is that just mostly in childhood?
Um, well, I guess now that I've moved out, it's a little less true, but when I go visit home, I still talk to my aunt and uncle. Some people have moved around here and there, but yeah, I think just culturally, extended families are definitely pretty big in
Okay.
general, so important.
Um, ha- so you mentioned like you journal a lot. Have you ever thought about writing a book or something like that?
No. Mm-mm. No, I'm not. I'm a terrible writer. Oh my God. In college, I would wait till like the night it was due to start writing my papers, and they were horrible. I'm not a good writer at all. Like I'm also like, how you're supposed to just um brain dump and then outline after that. I
Hmm.
wouldn't work that way. I would like, take a long time thinking of the title, take a long time of thinking of the hook and then the thesis and just go chronologically in that way. And that would be torture right now to have to write a book.
Okay.
But I kind of thought about maybe doing some poems that I want to like publish. That's
Oh,
how I
okay.
journal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that counts. All right. How much do you think about or notice aesthetics and appearance of like how you like maybe your own aesthetic, like putting
Mhm.
together an outfit, or are you hyper focused on how people look or how you look?
Yeah, I'd say someone I dated said, you really like I forgot the word she used, but like that was my own vanity really like caught up in it. I think she used it as like not an insult, but more of a criticism. So I think
Mm,
lately, just with that, with the self insecurity, like the insecurity, I would say I would gotten more like I care about how I'm perceived of appearances, but it's now transitioned into looking at it as a creative outlet. How can I um express myself with, this outfit or this color, or these colors or these textures. Now it's more like another puzzle. How can I build this little thing that I wear, if that makes sense? Like it's yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I say I care. Yeah.
Okay. Do people tell you, oh, you're really good at putting together an outfit or picking out, maybe not just with clothing, but with like picking out colors for a room or, things like that?
Mm, and so if you see the white the white walls, I'm
Yeah, that's
not
true.
good. But for like my friend and like her, and so the girls in my friend group, they do say they wish my boyfriend would dress a little bit more like you, like had more pop in their outfit, wasn't as basic. So I do get some compliments for the outfits every now and then, like, oh, that's a really nice shirt or sweater. So I think I have at least, I wouldn't say the whole outfit as a whole, but we have like one piece that stands out for sure.
Okay. Um, do you ever need to, trying to think how to like ask this, but like just objects in front of you or things like pictures on the wall or something, do you feel like they need to be balanced in some way? Do you like things to be kind of equal or balanced, like aesthetically?
Equal. Can you give me another example?
Um, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Actually, yeah, I think the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Like symmetry or
some,
like,
yeah, symmetry. That's what I'm getting
yeah.
at. Like, are you kind of more focused on that than the average person? They're like, someone might say, oh, that doesn't really matter. And you're like, well, I just kind of need it to be symmetrical.
Uh, I think as long as it doesn't have to be specifically symmetrical, but it has to make sense. Like there has to be some sort of like, that's, pleasing to the eye or like, that because the thing I can think of, this is something that I just like want to do one day. You know how they have different frame sizes, but on the wall, but it just makes one like big square or like, or make some design, but it was a collage of different size frames. That's something
Yeah.
that I like. That helps answer your question.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have, um, like what, do you have any, like, would you mind sharing like maybe what your biggest fear is or fears that you
Mhm.
have?
Yeah. Fears. Um, like Mother Nature, I'd say.
Anything that
Yeah, yeah,
like,
Just
like
Mother Nature in
like a
general.
natural disaster scares me because I can't do anything in the like a tornado just comes out of nowhere. I think that kind of scares me. Sinkholes scare me. The idea of a sinkhole just scares me.
Where do
Uh,
you go? Where do you go? What's under the hole?
like yeah, like if it happens while I'm asleep, I can't do anything. It's uncontrollable. Other fears, not living up to my full potential. I think that's a fear, like a self-actualization fear.
mm,
I think I'm pretty afraid of like ending up alone, maybe realizing I'm like difficult to love or something. That's a pretty like fear I have, big fear I have.
mm,
Um, yeah,
There's some deep fears.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I want to ask about that. So I know that now it sounds like you're single and you're kind of like doing some self-care, but I guess prior to that, have you felt like you get value from the idea of being in a relationship? Like,
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, oh, sorry, was there more to the question? I think I cut
no,
you
I
off.
hadn't really fully like figured out how to ask it, so go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I'd say that for the longest time I was like I was in relationships back to back.
I was going to
And
ask serial monogamist or
yeah,
something.
yeah, serial monogamous. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. So,
Okay.
um, part of it came from like thinking that's all I was stuck with, at some point. So it's kind of just like a really bad environment for you to be in, but I thought that's all I deserved like to be in. I didn't probably heal enough to get into the next thing, the next relationship.
Okay, this is great. Thank you so much. I have a few more questions. So,
Sure.
you said in 2016 you broke a bone. Can you tell us what that was? Like what bone?
Uh, Tibia, I think, or fibula. It's also like around my ankle. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was the ankle.
No, it's two separate times. Recently in May and also in 2016. Yeah.
Oh, you broken your ankle twice?
So the first time was a break. This time was like a really bad sprain.
Interesting. Okay. I got to think about that one.
And it was, if I may add, it wasn't dumb. Like it was how it happened was pretty dumb, I'd say. The first time I was just playing like a pickup at practice, and I gave an assist to a goal. As a goalie, like if you could help contribute to a goal, you're gonna celebrate it, especially when you're just playing pickup. And I was celebrating, and as I was running, I stepped into a big hole, and my foot just went, to the side, and that's how it broke. Like it's
ugh.
not even like someone hit me. And then the second time, most recently, I was also playing pickup, and I was about to block a shot, and as soon as my foot landed on the ground, he shot it, and like the ball just like he did that to my foot. And
Oh, wow.
it was my teammates both times. Well, one was just a hole playing with my friends, and then the second time was never like an official game or anything.
Can you also talk about, I was really fascinated by the burn that you got from the
Yeah,
barbecue. Can you tell that story briefly?
yeah. We were for my fraternity, we were hosting like this event to try to recruit people, and it was a barbecue. And the grill master, he left a can of Pam spray underneath the grill by the propane tank. And I was going for like my third piece of steak, I want to say. And me and my friend were joking, we're like, yo, what if we just like got burnt right now? Like, it's just and
Oh my
legit,
God.
that's exactly what happened. A huge thing of, fire comes up, maybe the next round of steak, fourth round of steak. And like I dive and I'm on my, I guess on my front, and I feel this heat on my back. I thought I caught on fire. That's just how like big the flame was. Um, and I started doing like my stop, drop, and roll or whatever. But everyone just as soon as it happened, like everyone just started laughing. But I was in pain. Like my
Oh, wow.
arm from my wrist to like my fingers to my wrist was second-degree burn. I was the least affected out of four people. One of my friends, he had to get airlifted from the ER to the burn unit, which was 3 hours away by car, the closest burn unit. Um, yeah, he had, there were, the other guys had way worse injuries than I did. Two arms, both arms were burnt. One of them, like the inside of his mouth got a little burnt too. The PTSD after that was horrible. That's actually what I use as my excuse for when I lost my van all the time in the parking lot. I would say, I would say, like, yeah, I have this PTSD. I'm having, insomnia, which I actually did. There's a partial truth, like, and I can't sleep at night, and my shifts are really early in the morning. And I would say, yeah, I'm just taking the few hours I can of sleep and using them to the max. But that's why I'm late all the time. When the truth was, I would always lose my van in the parking lot. But
Wow.
yeah,
But and so you said that you had to get, what was the treatment for
oh
these
yeah, yeah.
burns?
Sorry. So I get there. The thing happened on Halloween weekend, so it's probably the anniversary's coming up. Um, Happened on a Thursday night. I get there, I want to say like 3 a.m., 5 a.m. to the hospital, the burn unit from the ER. They had a send me through ambulance. Um, I go in there, I have to take a shower to just clean up as much debris as possible, which was horrible. And then that morning around 8 a.m., I was being prepped for a surgery where they, cleaned all the debris off of us. And then we were wrapped like mummies for the rest of the weekend. And they had like stem cells on us covered with skin grafts. And then there was just healing, staying in bed, and staying away from the sun for like the next month or two. Really, you had to wear like these special what do you call them? Like sleeves to make sure the graph would stay on and would stay protected from the sun as well.
So it was your face and hands that were injured?
Yeah. So my cheeks, my forehead, those that was just a first degree burn. Actually, now people say I have really good skin, but I tell them it's only because it's like 5 years old or, X amount of years old. Um, and so, wait, what was the question? I lost my train of thought.
Oh, I just wanted to know what, yeah, you pretty much answered it.
Cool.
Uh, so do you tell people you went as a mummy for that Halloween?
I should. I'm gonna start to. Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Um,
That's definitely a cool story to tell people when I'm like,
wow.
yeah, like, this
That's
happened.
terrifying. So what was going through your mind when you were like, did you look at yourself in the mirror and freak out or something? Like, what
I
was that
woke
like?
up. Yeah, the worst part was when I woke up, I couldn't breathe right. It was just so tight on my body. Like I could really just feel it. And I just felt like something was almost choking me. And there was a couple times where I was like gasping for air just out of the fear of like feeling restricted, That was like the first couple weekends. And then once we left the hospital, we could, they took everything off. But it was just so itchy, with the skin growing back and it was horrible, like that little itchiness and it would sting every now and then. Yeah.
Were you concerned about like what it might do, how it might alter your physical appearance?
No, for some reason I wasn't. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I was more worried about like, oh man, I got to call off work now and do all these other things. I remember calling my boss, like, "Hey man, I can't make it. Here's a proof." And I showed him a picture of my hand. He's like, "Yeah, man, you're good." Yeah, that's actually how can I say this without giving up my age? Mm, yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
just skip a?
Well, I
Okay.
mean, is it important? What is it?
No,
It
what
has
is
to
it?
do with, does it have to do
No,
with where you were working?
no, it's just no, it's how my last ex, how she actually got to actually know my name. We were,
Well, that sounds
yeah,
iffy. Sounds
yeah.
iffy.
So
I feel like
yeah,
that might be dangerous
that is
territory.
dangerous territory. Yep.
What are your views, if you don't mind sharing, on like religion, astrology, all those types of things?
Mhm. I'm pretty open-minded, honestly. Like, I think there's a higher power for sure. I just don't know what it is. I like to think it's like a council of like gods, and it's like this, we're all a little right. Um, but I definitely went through probably still going through my little like rebellious phase against, the idea of someone already knowing what's gonna happen. Like, because it's also free will, right? It's just for me, it's just kind of like I get confused thinking about it because it kind of seems like a paradox,
Mm-hmm.
How can things be written, but then also free will? But that's kind of where I'm at. But overall, I want to say I'm pretty open-minded. Like I grew up Catholic, but I started going to like a Methodist church and then all these different, denominational churches I started attending. And I also like I took an intro to Islam class as well back in my college days. Thought about converting at one point. And so I've always, with astrology, I have a lot of friends that like read tarot or, they're really into it and I'm really open-minded and it's pretty cool to hear what they have to say on things. Yeah.
That's interesting that you said you almost converted to Islam. Like,
Yeah,
what
pretty cool.
inspired that?
Um, so God in Islam is like very loving. I think you see, like your first, what is it, like the Old Testament, he's really like angry and trying to punish. In Islam, he's like, dude, I love you, man. He's just really, really loving. I thought it was pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, we've gone through a lot. Okay. Well, let me ask one more thing. What really gets you angry? Like, can you think back on maybe like the most angry you've ever been?
Mm, I want to say maybe when things are unfair or
Okay.
unjust. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think I'm good for now.
All right. Well, all my soccer questions put us overtime, so we got to rush to the waiting room, and then Sarah's going to talk it out, and then we're going to bring you back in to
Okay.
see which chart belongs to you.
All right.
And I'm going to figure out how to put you in the waiting room in the meantime. Probably won't be too long, so stay
Okay.
close. All
Sure.
right. All right, Sarah. I can't give you too much help here,
I
but
know.
are you leaning one way or the other?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so when I came into this, I was feeling more the Gemini chart with the Cancer rising. As he was talking, and that's a hard thing, that I don't know a good way around that, because when I'm studying the two charts ahead of time, you just kind of pick a favorite. You're like, oh, I'm feeling this one. But then that can really like taint your view of things, because then you start trying to see if you can, what he's saying, instead of like, how do I look at this objectively? Um, and I really, was pushing myself to like focus on this other chart too, and not just be blinded by one. But yeah, at first he was saying things like so our Gemini chart has a Cancer rising. Cancer's ruled by the moon. He's got his moon in the third house in Virgo. And the third house has a lot to do with like friends and social groups and socializing, but it also can be writing, siblings, extended family, neighbors. That's kind of why I was asking those questions. And the reason I'm focusing on this placement so much is because that planet, the moon in Virgo in the third house, is his chart ruler. And so the chart ruler is very important, and it sort of gives like some big themes for the person's life. So that's a very social house, and like talking with people, being, friends with people, but so is so funny enough, this Virgo chart with the Libra rising is ruled by Venus, with Venus in the 11th house in Leo. And that is the house of friendship and belonging to a community.
So they're both social. Focus on
I,
something else. What is the differences
I
at?
know. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking this through out loud. So
Well, that's what I'm always thinking when you guys are talking about like, well, these two are the same here. I'm like, well, let's look somewhere else. Let's look at the areas where they're different.
I know. I'm just like talking through it. Okay. Well, okay. So yeah, he just he talked about drumming. That was like a big thing. And I know Cancer risings often can have a lot of rhythm to them. He was saying a lot of things that reminded me of Gemini, like kind of like forgetting where he parked. Like sometimes Geminis can like forget things. And he talked a lot about anxiety, and to have, you know, sun and moon ruled by Mercury, like that can be some anxiety. However, towards the end, when I started asking my questions, I started leaning towards this Libra rising chart with the Virgo sun. And the reason is because, first of all, the last thing he said was like, he likes things to be very fair and just, and he gets angry when they aren't. That's a very Libra rising thing. Libra risings are also very focused on aesthetics. And he talked about in his early childhood, or he talked that like, people would compliment him on how well mannered he is, and politeness and things like that. Those are Libra things. Yeah. And he talked about people pleasing. He talked about being a serial monogamist, which like that's what I was really trying to see, because that can be a Libra rising trait to just kind of hop from relationship to relationship. And so the things that I was kind of maybe associating with Cancer, like this Libra rising chart has moon in the first. So,
And transits on some of those like really important dates, they were kind
yeah.
of vague or what?
No. So the barbecue that he got burned, if the Libra rising chart had Mars had just entered Libra and pretty close to his moon, pretty close to his ascendant. Now, again, this is the chart with the 0-degree ascendant, so it makes me a little nervous. But some people are born with a 0-degree ascendant, so it is possible.
Well, and the other one either doesn't have that, doesn't have a big important thing happening on that day.
On that day, the transits are Saturn was so he was in an 8th house year, ruled by Saturn. Saturn was going through Sagittarius in his 6th house of health. And Mars was going through Mars was kind of like squaring that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm actually, that one not as clear cut, with the Gemini chart. So I'm actually like, when you have a Mars transit through the first house, not to scare anyone, or close to your moon, those are situations where potentially one potential outcome is you could get burned, because Mars rules like thing, getting burned or fire, and so when it's going through your first house or close to your moon, which it would be both for this Libra rising Virgo sun chart, yeah, I mean that would be fit very well with that chart. It's a little bit harder to make it fit with the Gemini chart, I would say.
See, I'm enjoying the Astro Detective seat because I'm like, just the facts. We're focused on the differences. All right, let's go towards the biggest areas of difference and just really, where was that glaring difference between the two? I would want to hone in on. Like, was it the injuries? Were injuries to the leg or to the ankle like different in one chart over the other? Because that seemed to be important. Or, being drawn to software design, I think he said.
Yeah.
Are these multiple things as we get to know them sort of like leaning to one chart over the other as far as what would be in the like house of career or, things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess like what I'm feeling right now is just a little bit overwhelmed because I've got so much data and I feel like not enough time to really organize it and lay it out and just get a real bird's eye view. So as I listen to the interview, I try to write everything down, and then I try and bold things or color code things that really stand out to me, that are making me lean one way or the other. And I think he towards the end was saying just a lot of things that I felt were fitting for someone with Libra placements. And I'm not seeing a ton of like Libra emphasized in the Gemini chart. And so I think just where I'm at right now is I'm feeling like it's the Virgo. But am I like 100% confident? I don't know if I'll ever be 100% confident anymore. There were definitely.
We only have to be 80% confident. That's all you're shooting for, is 80% confident.
And he said like focusing on like beauty and aesthetics were something that he just told me at the end, and I wasn't necessarily getting that vibe from him throughout, but I went ahead and asked it, and he was like, yeah. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Like sometimes I guess you kind of think of someone, you make assumptions about, maybe I was making an assumption about him. And then, because we're getting to know him for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I don't know. Like I'm seeing a lot of those because I can't really focus too much, I think, on any of the Virgo aspects. So I didn't really ask any questions about Virgo, but
Because those would be there regardless.
in
They're in
one way
both.
or
They're in
another,
both charts.
it wouldn't necessarily show up exactly the same, but like I would have to see that demonstrated, and I would be able to like maybe match them, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm feeling sorry. I'm feeling, and he on his survey he said he was like 2 out of 10 as far as when it comes to being decisive, and that's another Libra thing is like indecision.
And
Gemini,
a Virgo thing, isn't it?
no, Virgo's
I remember
not
crunching the numbers. I'm thinking to our Virgo playlist, and it was like overthinking things.
Overthinking and
Not to debate though. You choose the chart you want.
Yeah, that's more like mental anxiety about like self-criticism and stuff, but overthinking a decision is more of a Libra thing. Because they're weighing two things and they can't decide because they want things to be in balance. So it's hard for them to like choose an option because then that would make things out of balance.
Well, in that case, we're going to lean on our Virgo to be decisive. And have you got a chart chosen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not counting for anything, but I do still take it personally because I am putting my reputation on the line and I want to get it right. And okay, like, well, I'll talk more about it in the debrief, but
yeah. This one, I mean, I assume that that anybody trying this at home is thinking like, oh yeah, this is difficult. If anybody wants to judge Sarah's record, they can email us and they can bring it on the show and show that you can do this so much better. Until then, I think Sarah's doing a great job.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, you got one chosen?
Yeah.
With confidence. We're excited about this. Okay. All right. We will be right back with our guest to see if do you want to say which one you're leaning towards? Usually at this point, we've told the audience what you're thinking.
Virgo, but like he did say one thing that is sticking in the back of my head that's bothering me that makes me think it could be the Gemini, but I'm at this point, I'm just going to go with the Virgo and fine.
All right. I don't know why that is one of the funniest answers in choosing it. It's fine. All right, everybody. If you're more decisive, let us know because we'd love to know what you saw in the charts. But we'll be right back with Sergio to see if, in fact, he is the Virgo right after this.
Hey, Astro Detective listeners, this is your resident astrologer, Sarah Hartshorn, and I wanted to let you know about my coaching practice called My Cosmic Coach, where I offer natal astrology readings, human design readings, and a whole lot more. And right now, for fans of the Astro Detectives podcast, I'm offering $25 off my signature one-on-one coaching session. This is a holistic approach I developed that will guide you through any kind of decision you're trying to make or challenge you're navigating, where we're going to consult both your human design and astrology charts and even pull a few cards too. And you'll walk away with really clear, really practical and actionable advice that is aligned and specific just to you. So head on over to mycosmiccoach.com and use promo code AstroDetectives at checkout when you book a one-on-one coaching session with me. That's mycosmiccoach.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We got Sergio back with us, and he is going to tell us if Sarah picked the right chart or not. An especially difficult episode. We had a similar placement or two of the same zodiac signs in the two different charts. So this is a extra credit fun. Pressure's off a little bit. We hope everybody at home has had a chance to dissect the charts. If not, pause it. Guess what? Everybody at home, you actually can take more time than Sarah gets. You can listen and re-listen and then go back to the charts and then hand draw them. But she had, 7 minutes in our little huddle? to
And
kind of like pick one.
And you say the pressure's off, but it doesn't feel that way. I feel just the same because I hate getting things wrong.
I hope I didn't give anything away. I was a little nervous about that.
I think you did a great job. You were very revealing about all the things because I want a guest to share as much as they possibly can. There's just certain topics where it's gonna give just even little hints start to accumulate, and that's what throws things off a bit. But thank you very much for being careful with all of that too.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, the floor is yours.
No. Oh, okay. All right, Sergio. I just tell you the choice that I had here. Okay. I had the choice between a Gemini and a Virgo. Okay. And I already feel like I'm going to be wrong. I hate that feeling.
Well, if you feel like you're going to be wrong, then you can still change it. You can only say one. One of them is the only. What is it where if you have to make an important decision, what you do is you flip a coin and when you see it, if you're filled with disappointment, you know you should, the other thing is the thing you need to do. So I don't know if you're about to guess one of them.
I need that.
You know,
and that one feels wrong.
The sun is at 29 degrees Libra right now. So I'm just feeling so indecisive. Oh my God. I'm dying. Okay.
You see, audience, I told you Virgos could be indecisive sometimes.
No, that's... Yeah, it's because I don't feel like I have enough information. I want more information. Sergio, I want to follow you around for like 5 weeks. All right, I'm just going to throw it out there. Sergio, are you a Virgo?
No.
See, I told you. See, I knew I was going to be wrong because the whole time I was thinking you were a Gemini. And at the last minute, I changed.
So your guess was, I'm guessing I'm going to be wrong, which still would be a 50-50 chance. If you guessed you were going to be wrong and then you got it right, then technically you would have been wrong.
So I am actually right.
Yeah. We structured this show so everybody's right. Everybody has a great time. All right. Sergio, if people want to find you or any places you want to send them, let us know.
Yeah, I guess my Instagram. It is Sergio Sum, SUM 54.
What can they find there? What do you typically post about?
I think just stories. I have pretty solid stories about things that I do. Yeah.
All right. No goalie highlights?
Sometimes I do have a highlight video out there, but that's from a long time ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, now that I joined the band, maybe some music content in there. Maybe. Yeah.
Looking for it. And Sarah, you're the only astrologer this episode, so where can people find you again?
They can find me at mycosmiccoach.com. And that's my handle on Instagram and TikTok. And I am going to start posting more reels and TikToks soon, probably in the next few months. And then AstroDetectives on Instagram. Please follow us. We're posting a lot more on there now.
Yes, we're very active on social media. We are all the time on social. I do nothing for the accounts. Thank you, Sarah, for maintaining our social media presence.
Well, you get it posted to YouTube, so.
Right. Does this count as social media? I don't know. This is just episodes. Yeah. You get an hour and a half with us. Bonus this time. Anyway, before the show runs any longer, Sergio, you're able to stick around with us for the debrief after this?
Cool.
Okay, we're going to have Sergio on the debrief, so make sure you check that out. For now, that's it, everyone. Let us know what you thought by commenting on whatever platform you follow us on. The links to our accounts are in the show notes. If you like the show and want to support it, you can visit patreon.com/AstroDetectives. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss the next episode. Rate and review and tell your friends. The conversation continues on the Patreon-only debrief. And until next time, this case is closed.